Welcome to EVTN News. Today, I'd like to talk about a number of different news stories, and thank you for joining me. I know I did not post, I only posted one video last week. I would like to post more, but I was very busy, as you can imagine. I'm sure all of you are busy too. So, let's get right into the news here. There was a strange liturgy that occurred. So, after canceling a July 2nd to 5th trip to the Congo, Pope Francis presided over a July 3rd Eucharist in St. Peter's using the Zaire Rite, which was invented in 1969 and allowed by the Congregation for Liturgy in 1988. Even before the words of institution, the co-presenting priests, who were placed in the first rows of the area for the faithful, were each holding a bowl of hosts. During the words of institution, they raised them in the air. In a Catholic liturgy, the hosts are consecrated on a corporal on the altar. So this differed from the Roman liturgy. This event has shown that the Eucharist of Paul VI is not the unique expression of the lex orandi of the Roman Rite. This is from Gloria TV. As claimed by Francis less than a week ago in his papal letter, or whatever you call it, Desiderio Desideravi. Okay, anyway, very, very strange situation. Going over to Texas, wouldn't it be nice to live in Texas? Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said he would be willing to test the state's anti-sodomy law at the Supreme Court depending on the law's constitutionality. Now, I know Clarence Thomas mentioned something about how the sodomy LMNOP is next, and wouldn't that be nice? So, Texas looks like they're starting to discuss this stuff. We're a Catholic society. Why not promote Catholic values? Or not? I don't want to say we want a Catholic society, so why not do our best to promote Catholic values? I mean, people say separation of church and state. Well, but those are the same people that want unlimited Mohammedans in our country, and Mohammedans don't agree with separation of church and state, do they? Speaking of the state, church and state, there's no separation of church and state in China. Pope Francis said he hopes that the Vatican's provisional agreement with China on the appointment of Catholic bishops will be renewed for the second time in October. In comments to Reuters published Tuesday, the Pope said, "The agreement is moving well, and I hope that in October it can be renewed." So there you go. Pope Francis is completely compromised. And this was something, I was uncomfortable with Pope Francis for many years, but the Vatican-Chinese deal was what really pushed me over the edge. I said, there's something wrong. There's something seriously wrong. And, I don't know any Catholic, who thinks that it's okay for the Chinese Communist government to select their own bishops. That's just me. I have a feeling it's not just me. I have a feeling some of you believe that as well. And then the European Parliament has called on the Vatican to give full support to Cardinal Joseph Zen and told the Holy See that it should strengthen its diplomatic efforts and its leverage on the Chinese authorities. Well, Pope Francis seems to think that everything's just fine, and he even refused to meet with Cardinal Zen whenever Zen showed up at the Vatican, so I wouldn't hold out hope for that. But the European Union, this is crazy. The Communist European Union is concerned about the communist persecution against the Catholics. Wow. In a resolution passed on July 7th, the European Parliament condemned the arrest of the 90-year-old former Bishop of Hong Kong by Chinese authorities and demanded all charges against him be dropped. So even the atheists see something wrong with this. What about Pope Francis? And if that's not enough for you, Bishop Paul Lei Xian of Leshan, China, celebrated the anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party's founding in a ceremony held in the Cathedral of the Sacred Heart of Jesus in Leshan, in the district of Sichuan, on June 29th, 2 days before the official July 1st anniversary of Mao Zedong's Communist Party. During the ceremony, Lei, who has been accused of having a mistress and children, reportedly told congregations they ought to listen to the word of the Communist Party, feel the grace of the party, and follow the party, prompting Asian News to report that politics has entered the Chinese church and that the regime's control over Catholic clergy is getting tighter. Wow! Are you surprised? If you've been following this channel since the beginning or any time, I've been on this case. I've seen this horrible, disgusting agreement, and I've been speaking out against it since 2019, since I started posting videos for this channel. And are you really surprised if you let the communists pick their own bishops? Are you surprised that communism is entering into the church in China? More on Pope Francis. In comments to Reuters published Wednesday, the Pope said 2 women will be appointed for the first time in the committee to elect bishops in the Congregation for Bishops. In the July 2nd interview in the Vatican, Francis did not identify the women or say when their appointment would be announced officially, instead saying he was open to giving women an opportunity and wanted to open things up a bit. Catholic news agency reported that they thought they may know the identity of the 2 women. They weren't 100% sure on that, but they threw around a few names. I didn't do any research into that. I'll let other people do that, especially when it happens. Now, this is the Congregation for Bishops selects bishops. And if you look at the people on the committee, it's pretty terrible. It's basically, I don't know, would you say it's so bad that maybe women would be better on that committee? I mean, you have Supich and Tobin, 2 McCarrick cardinals, and so they're going to be selecting bishops, from that were, I guess, among the likes of McCarrick. They're going to be selecting bishops in their own ideals. And so maybe women would be better. Now, the women that Pope Francis would appoint, I would actually be very skeptical. It could possibly be some bus nuns, which Francis has already appointed a bus nun as secretary for, I think, the Synod of Bishops. But yeah, having women select bishops, I mean, is the church effeminate enough already? And then you have Supich and Tobin, who are selecting McCarrick bishops, and now you're putting in women. I don't know, maybe they'll select Eucharistic ministers to be bishop. I don't know. Anyway, Gloria TV. So this was interesting from Gloria TV. Gloria TV reports the Cardinals already have their man for the next pope. A high-placed source told Gloria TV. It means nothing. A high-placed source means nothing. If asked by a journalist, they toss out some name who doesn't have a chance. The source did not explicitly name the candidate to Gloria TV, but spent a long time praising one man. This man was Cardinal Robert Sarah, who turned 77 on June 15th. So they think that Cardinal Sarah is going to be the next pope. Well, at least according to this source. I don't know. I think that would be a good thing. He's pretty much the best option. Well, besides Burke, but I think Sarah is more traditional than a lot of people even think. Of course, his comments have been very neutral and even supportive of Pope Francis, so that's not encouraging. But that's not to say that if he were elected Pope, he would turn around and declare Francis a heretic, which a future Pope will do. Just a matter of who will it be and when will it happen. And with the Vatican, with the Pontifical Academy for Life making heretical statements, Pope Francis renewing this deal with the communists. Who really knows? But we'll move on to the Vatican Academy. So, Prelate Gilfredo Margeno writes in Theological Ethics for Life, a book collecting talks at a conference organized by the Pontifical Academy for Life. He wrote, if practical circumstances make the choice to generate irresponsible, one may resort to contraceptive techniques. This was published July 1st by the Libraria, the Vatican's official publishing house. Lima's Pachamama Archbishop Carlos Castillo writes in his contribution that it is not healthy for mankind to always have swords of Damocles threatening damnation, whatever norms are neglected, referring to artificial methods of contraception. Contraception propagandist Father Maurizio Chiotti proposes an openness to medically assisted procreation for married couples while still excluding surrogacy. The Academy's head, Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia, told Vatican News on June 30th that the book is opening a dialogue between different opinions. So basically, they're deviating from the Catholic faith, the Pontifical Academy for Life, that is, by promoting these ideas. And the Pontifical Academy for Life has been anti-Catholic for quite a while, especially under Francis. You can really see that. And basically eroding all morality. Moving on to more heretics. The Australian Catholic Church's plenary council was a scene of high drama on Wednesday. The plenary council members voted on 2 motions about women's role in the church. Here we go again, women deacons. The motions were part of the initiative's 4th theme, witnessing to the equal dignity of women and men. That already exists, so okay. The motion 4.5 formally committed the church in Australia to considering women for ministry as deacons should Pope Francis authorize such a ministry in light of findings of the reconstituted study commission on the female diaconate. Well, he's commissioned 3 of those committees, and what's he want? Just come out and say it. The motion won a qualified majority, 2/3 or more of present voters among participants, with 178 signaling their assent and 27 assent, so opposing, and 36 or assent with modification. Okay, 27 assent with modification and 36 dissent, and so that's really that's a overwhelming majority supports women deacons, and that makes them heretics. It failed to gain a qualified majority, though, among members with a deliberate vote, the bishops, with 25 supporting. Oh, wow. Okay, 25 supporting, 10 support with modification, and 8 opposing. So you have 25 heretic bishops, 10 probably heretics, and 8 who want to uphold the Catholic faith. Motion 4.6, meanwhile, said that all Australian dioceses and eparchies should foster new opportunities for women to participate in ministries and roles that are stable, publicly recognized, resourced, and with appropriate formation, including theological education and commissioned by the bishop. This is a new church. They created this women to participate in ministries. The motion failed to achieve a qualified majority on the consultative vote and the deliberate vote, so that the attendees and the bishops. The announcement of the bishops' votes generated uproar. The Sydney, Australia Morning Herald reported that the planned schedule was suspended while some delegates refused to take their seats, standing at the back of the meeting room in protest. So they threw a temper tantrum because they didn't get they didn't achieve the heresy vote that they wanted. One participant who noted the pushback told The Pillar that about 60 to 70 delegates refused to resume their seats in the morning after the morning tea break and described the atmosphere as deeply unpleasant. This person said there were a few tears and quite a bit of acrimony in some cases. There was also a bit of a sense of intimidation, really. There was a bit of finger pointing at the women delegates who resumed their seats, that sort of thing. So the ones who voted against heresy were bullied, and there were a temper tantrum. The demons were raging because they did not achieve the vote of heresy, and that's your stable Catholic Church in Australia, the one who supported jab mandates, endless lockdowns. Uh, Archbishop Mark Coleridge, he's rotten. He's horrible. I'm actually very surprised he wasn't named a cardinal. He is the Australian version of Bishop McElroy. So he supports all heresy. You can look on Twitter to see what heretical idea he's posting. And he's not the only one. There are plenty of rotten Australian bishops. Australia is a pretty terrible place for Catholicism. Yeah, and okay, so more on the Australian Synod. 270 bishops, priests, and lay people participate in the Australian Synod. At the July 2nd opening Eucharist, they were entertained with smoke, didgeridoo pieces, and pagan rituals. Susan, who was an Aborigine, invoked the ancestral male and female spirits and asked them for permission to be here in ceremony this afternoon. Darwin Bishop Charles Gauci said at the Synod that the Church has incorporated indigenous symbolism and liturgies over the years in different cultures, and asked cluelessly, if we use some of the Aboriginal symbols for cleansing, what's wrong with that? Well, I don't know. The same thing that was wrong with paganism in the Old Testament. Really, come on. More heresy. Cardinal Reinhard Marx, a close advisor of Pope Francis, said, I believe that the time is ripe that it must and should be open to men and women in terms of the diaconate. During a sermon at the Cathedral of Our Lady, Marx said a lot of work remains to be done theological and practically according to the German Catholic news outlet. He continued, I am convinced that this renewal can be a great gift for the Church. It's not a renewal, it's a new religion. But it's not really new. You're certainly welcome to join the Lutherans or the Anglicans. They certainly like to have fake bishops. And so if you want fake deacons, then you can certainly join a different religion and you'll get them. Coming back to the United States, the U.S. CCB has made public its list of dioceses that conducted or failed to conduct an audit of parishes in 2021 to ensure compliance with the bishop's 2002 charter for the protection of children and young people, which set forth policies to prevent sexual assault. 65 dioceses failed to conduct the audits, most prominent among them, take a guess, Archdiocese of Chicago, Archdiocese of Newark, led by McCarrick Cardinals, Supich and Tobin. Shocker. Wow. And what do you know? Archdiocese of Newark had 30 grinder priests. Approximately 70% of the diocese's eparchies have formal processes in place to visit parishes and schools to verify implementation of charter policies at a local level, according to the most recent USCCB report on the implementation of the charter. This leaves approximately 30% of dioceses and eparchies that do not have a visitation procedure in place to verify that parishes and schools have effectively implemented charter procedures at the local level. And isn't it ironic that Cardinal Supich was on this fake Vatican committee that talked about protection of minors? Wow. He was named as one of the lead cardinals in this Vatican initiative, really this fake conference to say, oh, we're doing something. We really support, we're really opposed this assault on minors. Let's not talk about we're not talking about adults. We're not talking about the sodomy harassment of seminarians. We're just talking about minors. And he couldn't even get that right in his own diocese. Wow, that's what you expect. In Germany, Archbishop Hans Joseph Becker of Paderborn, Germany, has suspended Father Frank Utenholt of Brilon. The Archbishop accuses this priest of conspiracy myths and anti-Semitism. On his website, on Gloria TV and LifeSiteNews.com, Father Unterholt has been critical of the virus measures and in particular of the pernicious jab laws. He also told Becker that the abortion-infested jab does not constitute charity. Apostasy of the German Church by name, and described the presiding German Bishop Batzing as an apostate. I stand by my comments. This priest sounds like a great priest. Why don't you call up the SSPX and see if they have any spots available? We're going to get to them, right now. The SSPX, with the ordinations around the feasts of St. Peter and Paul, the Society of St. Pius X, counts 707 members, which I'm guessing means priests. 6 were ordained in the US, 8 in Switzerland, 3 in Germany. Presently, there are also 12 Pius X deacons. Following the Jesuits, 14,500, Franciscans, 8,500, Benedictines, 3,400, and Augustinians, 1,800. Pius X the SSPX is the 5th largest religious congregation, but unlike the other congregations, it is not overaged. It's growing. And that's not, I believe there are SSPX monasteries where they have SSPX. Other notable communities are the FSSP, 341 priests, so compared to 707 for the SSPX. The Institute of Christ the King has 80 priests, and the Institute of the Good Shepherd has about 50. Not to say that those are bad organizations. I like them. I like those organizations as well, but the SSPX is by far the largest out of the traditionalist orders, it looks like. Okay, thank you for joining Living Purgatory. We need to hit Catholic comment sections and complain about the treatment of Cardinal Zen. Living Purgatory says, what women? What if they're like Hillary? Okay, so that's, you probably mean the women who are going to be picking the bishops. Michael, thanks for joining us. Is the SSPX a communion with Rome? I think Mass of the Ages has vindicated them and their founder. What do you guys think? Michael, I've been a supporter of the SSPX for a while. I think they do good work. I was initially skeptical of them, but now it appears that the SSPX are doing good work. I think Mass of the Ages has vindicated them and their founder. Quite honestly, I don't see any reason to oppose the SSPX at this point. I mean, look, when you go to a Novus Ordo, if you go to a Novus Ordo Mass, do you agree with a lot of the stuff going on? Like, whenever the priest gives a sermon, do you agree with everything he says? Do you agree with even like half of what he says? So to me, I'm thinking, okay, the SSPX, they look like the good guys. And after the virus shutdowns, the SSPX were open. They stayed open. And some priests and bishops, they said, do not go to the SSPX. And it's like, well, you're not providing any opportunities for the laity. Oh, well, you can watch our live stream masses. Or you can go to the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass. You can actually go there at an SSPX chapel. Now, not all of them stayed open. Some of them did, and it was a very good move for them as people flocked there. But also, if there's a Novus Ordo priest who's preaching the gospel of LMNOP, and the bishop does nothing about it, okay, you need to find the SSPX. I heard of a story where someone went to confession and they got advice that kind of endorsed the LMNOP agenda in Novus Ordo Parish, and don't go back there. Now, the Novus Ordo is just very spotty. I mean, you could have a good pastor, and then he could be transferred tomorrow. And guess what? You could get a very LMNOP friendly pastor, and so it's just very spotty. And the SSPX, you're going to get the sacraments. You're going to get the sacraments. That's the thing. Like, if you want the old rite sacraments, you'll get it at the SSPX. Okay, yes, women picking bishops. I'm not being shown other people's comments. Living purgatory. You can't see other people's comments. I can see all the comments. I don't know. I do know my live stream statistics are kind of slow, but I apologize for that. I try to automatically set the comments, so I'm not sure why you can't see comments. Adrian, thanks for joining us, Adrian. Our local SSPX chapel in Fort Collins has moved its once weekly Mass from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., going toe-to-toe with the Latin Mass at the Novus Ordo Parish. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Latin Masses competing. I'll just say that. That's no fault of any... I mean, it's not really a fault of the SSPX or whatever. Or the diocese. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. The bishops hate the SSPX for the most part. I heard that the Bishop of Syracuse, though, doesn't. And this is a rumor I'll pass along because I don't know how true it is, but I heard that the Bishop of Syracuse allows the SSPX priests to say wedding masses in the cathedral. So, in the Novus Ordo Church, I was told 20 years ago if I did not support LMNOP, I was going to hell. Yeah, well, the opposite is true, and St. Paul affirms that. So thanks for watching this channel. Chris, thanks for joining us. Love you all. And the Byzantine Rite. Yeah, Byzantine Rite. That's also a consideration. Byzantines, there's some modernism that goes on in the Byzantine Rite, but I also know some Byzantine priests that are really, really solid. So you're gonna find, and there's less incentive, opportunity, whatever you want to call it, to mess with the liturgy. So the liturgy is pretty much the liturgy, and you can put some modernist twist on it, but that's pretty much what's going on. Logan, thanks for joining. A local Novus Ordo priest said in a sermon once, "You don't get to heaven because you're Catholic, but because you're a good person." I only go to SSPX now. I have no idea what I would do without them. There you go. You don't get to heaven because you're Catholic, because you're a good person. Well, that's kind of like the New Church theology, kind of like Bishop Barron's idea that the Catholic faith is the privileged path. But if you have to follow all these Catholic rules, then is it really privileged? How are you privileged? I mean, we're privileged because we were baptized into the true faith, outside of which there is no salvation. But Bishop Barron does not say that. Thank you, Michael. Yes, I found the SSPX because the Novus Ordos were all closed. Okay, and the comments are working. Great. Thank you guys for the insight. I got some people that attend SSPX parishes. I don't have one that's very close to me. But you know, like I said, I'm not opposed to other Latin masses, diocesan, FSSP, Institute of Christ the King, and they all have good. I mean, they have good liturgies. They have good priests. I guess the biggest concern with the FSSP and the Institute is if you have children and you want to get your child baptized in the old rite or confirmed. Confirmation is an even bigger concern because priests now seem to be, bishops seem to be hesitant to grant permission for the old rite sacraments. And you could be unfortunate enough to live in a diocese where the bishop has banned the old rite sacraments, which is rotten, and that bishop should resign. Not that he will. It's probably actually going to be promoted if he does that. But some of you are really not in a bad situation like that, and I don't really know what to say. Now, I will say the Byzantine, I have SSPX Online and Spiritual Communion. I will say that the Byzantine Rite actually could be a good option in that case because they actually have the exorcisms and the baptism, and I don't know. I don't have a kid on the way. If I did, I'd definitely do my due diligence, and I certainly would consider the Byzantine Rite because you get baptism, confirmation, and First Communion all at once. You won't have to ever worry about that again. getting the sacraments for your child. They will just have to worry about it whenever they either want to join the priesthood, religious order, or get married. That's when they would have to worry about the sacraments. But you wouldn't. And you would do. So some people see it as a cop-out. Some Roman rites see it as a cop-out. Obviously, the Byzantines, they like what they have, and that's good. But that's just my thought on the subject, and everything's situational. You have to do what's best for you, and I don't know your situation, and so I don't have necessarily advice for anyone, but that's just some thoughts. I'd like to at least give you some things to think about. All right, well, thank you very much. This has been great. Thank you so much for the comments, and this has been EVTN News. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.